Grand Rising, Elizabeth. Grand Rising today is March the 10th. It's a wonderful day. It's snowing out here in Detroit, in the D, but it's beautiful. We're on the inside of it, watching it from the outside, and it is gorgeous. It's part of Detroit. Just hang on a couple of hours and it might be sunny and 80 degrees. You never know in Detroit. That's what it is. That's what it is. Mama Het, love that dog. Love that dog. Oh my goodness gracious. Today is Purpose and Passion. And we have our special guest, Terry Hughes, on here. Is going to talk about her purpose and her passion and what she's been doing about it. And we're just going to have a wonderful time. My partners are not here yet. Danny Stillwell and Lolly just popped in, just in time. Uh-oh, coat on. Is Lolly leaving or coming home? Which one?
I just got back in.
Sliding in out of the snow. So welcome to each and every one of you. Let's check in with I don't know, whatever you want to say. I'm just going to start from the top, and that way I don't have to wait on people, so you can unmute yourself. And Mama Evelyn, what's up today? Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Grand Rising. Yeah, it's snowing. I got to get my grandson's haircut. Wish I had done it yesterday. But I just didn't want to leave. I wanted to be in my home. I wanted to do my thing, But yeah, I had a good night's sleep and I'm ready for the day.
Ready for the day. Thank you. Ebony.
Grand Rising. I am having a beautiful day. I get to work from home today. It's a snow day. Teachers put ice in our toilets last night, so we won. I am just grateful to have a place of peace today. And I'm ready to hear about our purpose and our in everything. And I'm so excited that I get some extra time to work on shirt designing and being creative. So that's what I'm excited for.
I know that's right. Star.
Grand Rising, everyone. Looking forward to hearing our special guest and hear what she has prepared or maybe not prepared, or just, okay, God, what do you want me to say? And he's still waiting to tell her. So just talk and I'll speak through you, one of those. I'm looking forward to it. Grand Rising, Queens.
Ashe. Bridget.
Hey, Grand Rising, Queens. It is a beautiful day. In honor of the snow, I have made myself some cocoa. So, so I am sitting near my window. I will show you my little window with my little plants. And so me and my plants and my window, and it is a work day, but I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna listen to the show. Terry, welcome. Just waiting to hear all the goodness, and ladies, strap in. Let's ride.
All right. Mama Het.
Oh yeah. Grand Rising, Elizabeth and company. Good to have Miss Terry Hughes on, and I'm ready for class or our session. I call it our therapy session. This is my therapy session, part of my spiritual practice every morning. So it's good to be here, and I'm thankful and grateful. Peace.
I know, right? We talk about God every day, all the time.
We do.
One way or another, we are learning how to be the representatives and walk in wholeness and be holy, the real holy, because we are whole and complete. Deidre.
Oh, Grand Rising, Elizabeth. So good to be here with you again. Let's see. The snow is coming down in this wonderful view. And I have something that warmed my heart. I found out that my son, my oldest son, is going to get married this year.
Oh.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. He called me last night and I was like, whoa. So yeah, so we're gonna have a little marriage coming up in here. So that's gonna be nice.
And then little people creep in, running around.
Oh goodness. Oh yeah, right.
Hopefully they hang out for themselves for a little while first and then
Exactly.
start having babies, but
Yeah.
whatever the Lord say, you know.
That's right. That's true.
How old is your oldest son?
He's 22.
Oh, okay.
So he's still pretty young, but you know, I said, "Are you ready?" He said, "Well, I know her name is Emily. I know she loves me, and I think she's good for me. I feel she's good for me, Ma." I said, "Okay, all right." And I like her too, so I'm like, I'm glad.
That always helps, right?
That does help.
Jackie, you want to holler?
Just hollering. Just to do right now. But thank you so much for acknowledgement and good to see everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. Rev, you're turning our lives upside down.
A great day to be alive.
Absolutely. Terry, you want to say hi? We'll get to you to speak in a minute, but you want to say hello or happy or shuma na 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 or ikababa, whatever.
Well, I'm going to say Grand Rising as well. I'm delighted to be here. I'm happy to see so many smiling faces, many bright smiling faces coming together in this snowstorm to talk about our Father and what he does and his goodness and his mysteries revealed to us in so many mysterious ways that we don't understand our journeys. And the closer that we get to him, he reveals his plan, because he never shows us the full plan. And sometimes the plan is not what we're expecting. We're always expecting God's plan to always be beautiful. The course and the process to be something that we're going to enjoy, because we always expect that everything is beautiful. But the beauty also comes in the pain. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay. That road of passion and purpose. Oh, sometimes there's some rocks in there and some all kind of stuff along with the flowers, like you said. And my co-host. What's up, my good girl, Lolly?
Good day, Grand Rising, and
Even
hello.
taking the coat off. You're still cold from outside.
I'm mentally moving a little bit slow today. Because it's not really. It's finished enough. I was finishing up my master's project and finally submitted it. But ladies, I hope all is well with you. Today it's interesting that Miss Terry just spoke on what she did, because I was gonna say something similar. And really just about, as we speak about passion and purpose, just really keeping our faith, really keeping our resolve for, our purpose and this movement towards what is for our lives and how it impacts others. Actually, did everybody go?
Sharon just popped in. So Sharon, you want to greet us and welcome? I don't know if she can right now. Okay, we're going to go on.
Okay. Well, I would like to share just a little, it's just a little short, little something. Like, I think it'll be a great opener because it sounds like it's right aligned with what we're gonna be discussing. But I was reading these passages from one of my what is it called? One of my little magazines that I get from my Buddhist studies. And there's a passage that says, strengthen your resolve more than ever. Ice is made of water, but it is colder than water. Blue dye comes from indigo, but when something is repeatedly dyed in it, the color is better than that of the indigo plant. The Lotus Sutra remains the same, but if you repeatedly strengthen your resolve, your color will be better than that of others, and you will receive more blessings than they do. So there's another line that says, rather than accepting things the way they are, we can turn back the tide of any adversity by developing an ever stronger foundation in our faith. And so as we come into terms with our purpose in our lives, as we come to terms with the way that Spirit is moving, the way that God is leading us to walk, to what we are what we are doing in our lives to really impact the world, we have to really remain steadfast in that purpose, because when we lose that purpose, that's where we get lost, that's where we get confused, that's where we get torn down. And regardless of what those adversities are, like outside in the weather and you're driving and you got to get where you got to get, and it's really seeming like it's going to stop you, but you got to keep going and get to where you need to get safely. But if you're worried about how it's going to stop you, you might end up getting in an accident. So just like in life, we have to be focused on, what is this goal? What is this purpose that we have? And how are we actually focusing on that part of it? How are we focusing on staying steadfast in this movement towards this destination, which ultimately is this, in Buddhism, they say happiness, but it's this ultimate peace, this ultimate connection with this oneness, this connection with God, this stillness that we have that is so powerful. I think there was, okay, here we go. By continually reaffirming our commitment to faith, our lives in this transient existence become adorned with the everlasting and indestructible treasures of eternity, happiness, true self, and purity. Constantly fortifying our faith becomes the key to establishing such a state of life. And so they described eternity as meaning unchanging and eternal, happiness meaning tranquility, transcending all suffering, and purity is free of illusion or mistaken conduct. So I know that's a lot of big words, but the truth is just as we are on our journeys, as we are walking, instead remaining steadfast and remaining in our purpose and not being swayed by the things around us, because we know our mission, we know what we're supposed to be doing, we're not giving up, you're going to find that you're walking straight into this eternal peace that we have. And whether that's described as heaven or a heaven state, we're there, and we're fulfilling this God-given purpose, which I think is amazing when we all are actually doing that for ourselves, which is also doing it for others. And so, like, even with this call that we have every single day, that is a part of Queen Aduni's mission. That is a part of her purpose. And so this is her walking in that, which is beautiful, but it impacts so many other people around her and how they walk in their purpose. And so it's a full sorry, my phone is ringing. It's a full circle movement. But ultimately, regardless of our situation, let's remain steadfast in our purpose. That's all I got to say for real.
Now you got the piano player playing and stuff. That's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Any comments around that? Any thoughts and any goosebumps around what she just shared?
I'm gonna piggyback. I heard her say, being steadfast in your purpose.
Terry, before you go, let's introduce you so you can flow. I just want you all to know that, and remember, hold that thought now. Remember your thought. Elizabeth Juanita told me that I needed to meet her because she does film productions. She's an actress and all kinds of things which she will share with you. And she was telling her about me and Philip and in particular about music scoring for some of her from her movies and stuff. And finally we connected with one another. And you remember the sister Diane that came on, she writes jingles and all that. So I was really hooking the two of them up, the music and the jingles, that because she writes so easily. And then in talking to her, I said, you just got to come on to Elizabeth. You just got to come on and share. So as she's introducing herself to you, she's also, I'm learning about her, and we've already talked, and there definitely is a lot of things that go across each other. And I know all of you, she's somebody that you need to know. So without further yak from me, I just want to introduce you to Perry. Wait, I was thinking of her dad when I said it. She is the daughter of Perry Hughes, who is a guitar player, one of the baddest in Detroit and the world. So she comes from a family of creative people. So this is Terry Hughes. Go ahead with your thoughts, sweetheart. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Terry Hughes now. Well, I am Terry Howell, known as Terry Hughes. I'm recently married, and I'm a filmmaker. I'm a storyteller. I am a director. I am a film writer. This is my journey. This is my purpose. I am a film writer of dramas, of life stories. And when I say life stories, I mean common people like you and I, our journey. I have been summoned and called at the age of 12, my journey started. And the unique thing about how God wired me and designed me, I am part creator and I am part mentor, life coach, spiritual coach. And he has brought these things together in my purpose. And so throughout my journey, I have had creative ways that he's used my gift to minister to his people. And that is a ministry of healing and deliverance. And what we have here is a journey that unfolded to me from a trauma beginning. And when I talk a little bit about trauma, I am talking about abandonment. I am talking about how we can experience a life-altering situation, and that could be the very purpose that God is planting a seed in you for purpose. And throughout my journey from the age of 12, I experienced a lot of long suffering and emotional, mental struggles. And throughout the process became the birthing of God's birthing in me, the desire and the hunger to be able to have the passion
to help people, to help serve people, to help them understand their blind spots in their purpose and who they are and who God sees us as. I heard somebody say the other day, and it's so profound, that God doesn't see, he doesn't speak to us in sight. He speaks to us in revelation of who he calls us to be. And so it's important for us in our purposes, whether we know them fully or whether we don't know them yet, to understand that when you line yourself up, there's an alignment lined up with who he calls you to be, who he sees you as. For him to be able to communicate effectively and you be able to reciprocate that, you have to be in the sight, in the revelation of who he sees you as before you were born. And so a lot of people are not understanding why their prayers aren't getting answered, and why they may understand some things about their purpose, but not quite them all. It could have a lot to do with how your mindset is not lined up with the thoughts of who you're called to be, or it could have something to do with what you're speaking about yourself, your fears, your language, that's not in alignment with what he called you to be. And so I'm going to explain a little bit about my journey. I'm always transparent to be able to share my journey. And I know, like, I want to prepare you, because as you begin to hear it, you know, everybody is like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this. Oh my God, you okay? You know, but when you are graced for what your calling is, these things are in the making. They're already in you. They're already, you're already able to hold them in your capacity, because it's for your purpose. Your purpose will always bring forth oil that will be used for his people. And so my oil is deliverance. My oil always, I always tell people, is a mirror. My oil comes up as a mirror in front of you for you to see you. So however God uses me through my life, it's to help you to be able to reflect and have some mindful moments about your journey and some things that you may need to do to line yourself up in your purpose. So let's see, where must I begin? My mother was a mother of 12 daughters, and she was the oldest. And she had me and my sister. I'm the baby. I'll be 50 next year, and my sister is 53. My father is legendary, living Perry Hughes. He's known to so many people as a jazz guitarist. He was a professor of, I think, Michigan State for some years, professor of music. He mostly is known for being Aretha Franklin's guitarist, but he's traveled the world and played overseas for many people. Like she said, I have a very musical family. My godfathers play with Kim and they drum. I have a god brother that's a drummer. We are a musical, influential family in some form or state. My mother had multiple sclerosis before we were born. And my mother went on a health journey to try to find a healthy way to boot this out of her system. Nobody at that time knew what the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis was. And so my mother began to pray and began to seek God for what was off in her body. And her answers was to go holistic. And in that health journey, she moved to Israel. And she moved there and she stayed there for 20 years, not only in search of her health healing for her body, but she was searching for her purpose. And in her decision of moving to Israel for a 12-year-old girl, without her mother in the age of her getting ready to embark upon teenage years, was abandonment for me. My experience was abandonment. Her experience was her journey of healing and discovery. My father was determined to not allow her to take us with her because he wanted to be a part of our lives, family man. And so she began to start her journey and her purpose in her life. So my mother was gone out of my life for, I want to say 10 years. And she returned, I think I might have been 22, and I was pregnant. So I had experienced a lot of neglect, self-worth, not good enough. All these things were thoughts and were seeds penetrated in my soul that this was what was going on. And I struggled a lot growing up with my identity. I had my gifts and my talents to be able to get along in my life, which was at the time professional dancing or modeling, but I didn't know who I was. And it began to take purpose and root in my life of how I saw things. My lens began to be blurred and foggy in the way where I settled for a lot of things in my life. I took shortcuts in my life because of the time period, waiting on my mother to come back, holding my breath, didn't allow me to be present in my life that I was living, because I wasn't able to process and understand a life-altering situation of her leaving. And so over the years, my father raised me with my grandmother, which allowed me to grow into the strong woman that you see today. God had put so many women of purpose and women in the word of God in my life that I didn't realize he was giving me many mothers at the time to pick up the slack. I began to grow in the word. I began to understand prayer. I began to understand that God had a bigger plan for me. And I began to understand that I had the gift of healing, the gift of prophecy, the gift of servanthood, because it definitely, I believe, is a gift to want to serve and not judge. That is a gift. So I began to start a journey in healthcare. So I've been in healthcare for 30 years, and it taught me servanthood. It taught me to honor people. It taught me the very principles that God wants his people to be able to understand when they're in their purpose. You know, we're in this world together for his benefit, but our hearts need to be in a servant way so that his people can have a safe place in us to be able to know that we're his children and we're his imprint. And I thank God for those upbringings. And so bringing me down to my gifts and talents and abilities, God began to use me through my dance. I started as a dancer at 5 years old. And as I got older, I joined churches, I started dance ministries, and I started to see how the Lord was using my dance to tell stories. And stories were able to show people those hard places that we hide and that we don't want to surrender to God, but we want to wear our masses among our friends and among our families, that we're okay because we're taught to be strong women. But it's time to break the stigma. I think strong is being humble. I think strong is being transparent. And so I think the ministry being taught should be what we go through, because it's the seeds and it's the oil for the people that don't have the answers. And so that I am going to be that vessel. And so the Lord has blessed me to be able to go to film school. I was granted to go to film school 2020, the start of the pandemic. Because I was a first responder, they started to give so much money and raises and bonuses to all first responders. And so I took all that money and God said, go now. And I was able to go and I was able to get 3 scholarships. And so I have graduated and now my storytelling has now transferred over into film. So I went from dance to playwriting into film. And so what God is doing with my projects is that he wants his testimony. And so we are going through these struggles and these hard places and these dry places, and God is bringing us out, but nobody is telling it. And so I said, God, how can I serve you in helping you get your testimony? And he said, do it through film. And so my production company is called Bright Lights Production Company. We just launched our commercial 2 days ago. It's on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And the first series is entitled They Live in Our Shoes. They Live in Our Shoes is my baby in honor of my mother. My mother passed this past June. My mother was 68 years old. She was living in Arizona. And my mother was a daredevil and she is a health nut. And so my mother was still jogging 5 miles a day and doing her health challenges. And come on, you guys, let's exercise more and let's drink more healthy water and let's get out here and jog. That's my mom. And she was living in Arizona, I think not for a long period of time. And she wanted to jog on this, I guess it's like a known mountain in Arizona. And I guess this particular day, the weather was going to be hotter than the weather already is. It's already 100 degrees. I don't even know how she got there, why she wanted to go there, but Israel, where she lived, was a hot climate too. But this particular day, she jogged, and the higher you go up on this mountain, the more higher it is. It's the hotter it is. And she dropped and she died. We didn't find out until 2 weeks later that they had found her body and they were trying to identify who she was. She didn't have ID on her. She had her keys and her phone. They couldn't hack in her phone to try to see who this lady knew because she had a code on there. And they had to do fingerprinting and teeth imprint to find out who was this woman. When they did all that, contacted us, it was 2 weeks later. Her body was decomposed so bad we couldn't identify her. So I haven't really grieved her physical death because I'm used to my mother not living in the United States with me. So it hasn't really hit me in that way. I did grieve the relationship because I had so many years that I hadn't been with my physical mother that was a grief all along. And sometimes we think that grief is only physical. It's not. It's relationships, it's jobs, it's something you love, you desire to do, and life changes and you have to reinvent yourself. And I all these things became lessons and awarenesses to my life, and it was a part of my journey. And so this story, They Live in Our Shoes, is basically a story. It's a series that I would like to turn into a drama series and maybe, Netflix or somebody picks it up. It's basically about 5 women. We interviewed 5 women that chose to dedicate a time period in their life of their life altering situation or something that they struggled with and God brought them through. And we used that story to create a storyline in They Live in Our Shoes. They Live in Our Shoes is talking about what we don't share to our lineage. They will walk in our shoes. They will walk out the pathologies if we begin to continue to be a people that keep things in. My mama raped me, but my mama allowed me to be raped and she knew it. And I told her and she didn't protect me, but she said, what stays in this house, just close your mouth. You got to close your mouth. Ain't nothing happen. You gonna get by. That's uncle, and he gonna go on. He ain't gonna come over here no more. You know how our grandmother's generation was a silent generation. The baby boom generation was to keep things in. You don't talk about your feelings. And that was my mom's generation. And so I believe, because I did not know her woman's story, I am walking out a lot of things in my mom's journey that if I had gotten that information, I probably would have tools in my journey. And so this series is getting ready to be a evolutionary way for our people to begin to give ourselves permission to talk. So it's a mental health platform. We have 5 Black female therapists that are a part of the team to make sure that as these women go on this journey to embody these people, that they're mentally okay. Even the women that are the recipients of the stories, they have to relive these experiences to be able to coach these individuals that's playing them at a younger age. And so this journey is our first beginning of what we're going to be doing yearly. We're going to go do 3 films a year. Next year, we're going to do men's stories. And so this is
Terry,
a way for us to get help to our
Terry,
people. Uh-huh.
let me give me either write it in the chat so I can bring that up. So
Okay. The series?
Would it be on your website? Maybe I should just go to your website.
Yeah, it's on the website, and I can also send you the flyer. But the website and on Facebook, the commercial is on the social media. But if you go to the website, you'll be able to see like more information about the series and how people can audition to be a part of it, because I think we're looking for 14 supporting actresses and actors and kids, and we're looking for 5 lead actors, 5 women lead actors.
Okay, which should I go to? Facebook or your website? We can go to both.
If you go to Facebook, you can look up Terry Hall, H-O, Terry, T-E-R-R-Y, Hall, H-O-E-L-L, and you will see the commercial and you'll see the flyer. If you go to the website at BL Productions with an S, GOTUYOU.org. And if you click on the adult link, you will be able to see more about this project. And so what's taking place now by the commercial being out is that people are going on there and seeing if they want to audition for the lead 5. To audition for the lead 5, you have to look like the recipients of the stories. And so their picture is there, their synopsis is there about their story. And if you look like them, you are submitting your picture and a video of a dialogue that will be able to talk to you and tell you a little bit about, be able to tell me if you can play this person. And this person will be able to, the recipient of the stories are going to help me pick who they want to play them.
So should I hit this one right here?
Yep.
Okay.
We can't hear it.
Can't.
We gotta mute our mics. Everybody mute their mic.
Let me do this. Let me undo this. Then I'm gonna go back. and hit sound, share. What happened? What had happened was, there we go.
How am I supposed to trust? How could you do this to my mom? How am I supposed to love? How am I supposed to trust you, Dad? They call you rapist.
Rejected are the four walls that I live in. I am not a thief. So why are you blaming me? You blame me for being born? I didn't ask to be born. You were supposed to nurture me. So why am I? What kind of woman are you? What kind of mother are you?
Bruised. That is the skin on my face. You hit me. You hit me. Why? You were supposed to protect me. You were supposed to love me, not hit me. You was my daddy, or at least you were supposed to be.
Empty is what I feel. She just died out of nowhere. I have nothing left in me. I have nothing left for me. I'm empty. I don't know what to do. Hello? I don't know what to do. Every girl should learn womanhood from her mom, right? But what about her worth from her dad? I'm missing the pieces. I'm waiting on the rest of my pieces. I'm ignored. Can you walk in my shoes? Can you walk in my shoes?
Walk in my shoes? Walk in my shoes.
Wow.
And so that is pretty deep. So these are those were actors, those are not the recipients of the story. The recipients of the stories are not actors. And so we just had some actors to play their part for the commercial. These women are ready to tell their story because they are already in some form of helping people either in ministry or in some kind of form. And they feel it will help free other people in these situations and allow them to come out and just talk about it, because it's not me doing these films are not about bashing the people of these experiences. Me doing these films and these stories are to talk about the effects that happens to us when we experience these things, because we don't have the tools to know what to do. We're just suppressing it and we're dying in silence, and people are being suicidal, and people are, not being present in their relationship with their kids, and just overloaded and becoming workaholics or alcoholics based on what they're keeping inside. And so I'm just what I call putting the pill in the hot dog, and I'm using film as it. to be able to have these conversations. And so when we do these films, we're going to do 3 short films. When you are trying to pitch a film or a television show to Netflix or somebody to pick it up, they have to be in a short form way. So they have to be no less than 30 minutes long, or they can be as little as 10 minutes. And we're going to send each of these short films to film festival. We're going to the Sundance. We just going to go to that one. We're not even going to use the amateurs right now. We're going to go straight where we need to go and try to get it picked up. But in the process of doing that, when we get ready, finish filming all 3, we're going to do a big movie premiere. We've partnered with Imagine Theater. And one day we're going to have the movie premiere. The second day, we're going to have a director's talk panel that's going to have the actors, the recipient of the stories, and the Black therapists to be there to help talk about the subject matters. And we're going to open it up to the audience. And then the third day is going to be like an Emmys ball, just like you see the Emmys on TV. They're going to be awarded for their roles in these short films, and we'll have live entertainment and food. And that's what we're going to do on a yearly basis. And so every year, we're trying to get a lot of people involved to partner, because we need journalism to interview the storytellers. We're, like we were saying, she has songs that might be able to be used to help us with the movie songs, theme song, transitional music in and out of the scenes, actors, even artists. We looking for artists, because artists can build the storyboards of each scene. So it's so many, it's an opportunity to be a gateway to our community. It also is something that I am connecting with the school, with school education, to be able to try to create a doorway for our youth to come through. This school I graduated from is a white school, and I partnered with my school and told them, if I train African-American kids before they get out of school and they come through my program of being trained, will they have an opportunity to come through your door? And they said, yeah. So I'm going to be a gateway for our young African-American brown girls and boys to be able to have an avenue into this industry, whether they want to be in front of the screen or behind the screen.
Mm-hmm. Terry, there's a question.
Okay.
Greetings, Terry. I'm hearing and feeling and visualizing what you are saying here. I just want to, it's put on my heart to gift you a word to substitute out, because you're going to send your film and it's going to be successful. So I just want to ask that God is asking me to ask you to let that TRY go and say what you're going to do, because it's already happening, sister. It's already happening. Okay. I heard you when you were talking about the children, you said they were going to get through the doors. I heard that, but I'm just asking you to let that TRY go and put going and doing, because it's happening. I'm listening to it happening and manifesting. Well, manifesting right now. Okay, so, and would you also, if you don't mind, would you please share your mother's name? I'd like to pour libations for her, pour water for her name.
Okay. Her name is Vanessa Wright. Her name, her Israel name was Madalit. And if you go get the Black African Heritage Bible and you look in there and they have pictures, my mother is the Black Mary.
All right. And I just also want to say she was doing what I'm feeling this, that she was doing something that she wanted to do.
She was, and that's what she wanted. She did not want to, when we restored, God restored our relationship through me. I think at the age of 22, I gave my life to Christ. And I wanted to know what happened to my mother. You know, like, what was her childhood like with her relationship with her mother, that she would be in a space of giving birth to 2 girls and walk and just cut off her responsibility as a mother. Like I wanted to know what happened. And the Lord began to show me what her relationship was with her mother. And I had some conversations with my grandmother about their relationship because my grandmother had 12 kids. And so, you know, back then, when you got 12 kids and you are a mother that don't have education, you get the older ones to come help with the younger ones. But she didn't have any awareness that it was causing my mother to be stripped of her childhood because she has adult responsibility on her. And so I had to ask God to show me inside my mother's journey at that age so that I can have compassion and give her grace in not understanding our relationship. And so that was how I was able to forgive her and be healed for you wasn't here. You're not my mom. I don't know you. You know, just that type of thing, which was very difficult. Trust me, it was not, I didn't really fully get clearly delivered from it and the effects of it until my 40s, and I'll be 49. So I'm still going through some journey. I'm a life coach and I'm a spiritual coach, and I go to counselors because I can only go so far in how I can see how to help myself. So there's no shame. You know, I love to be able to have somebody else help me untangle and see what I don't see. So I do definitely encourage you all to try counseling if you don't, because it is not the stigma everybody thinks I'm crazy. No, it's not that. We need to talk. We need to open up our mouths and say, this hurts me. God talks about if we can't confess with our mouths what's going on, you got to be able to confess it. Just like you got to be able to come to him and say, Lord, I accept you as Lord and Savior. He's a gentleman. You know, he wants us to open our mouths and confess. You know, so it's a sticky situation, but at the same time, my pain became my power. Know that your pain is becoming your power. Your pain is not your pain to destroy you. Your pain is birthing your oil for God's purpose in your life for his people. And I had to understand that. I didn't understand that at 12, and I don't understand it now because my whole life has always been a blackboard and a canvas to people's lives. I was embarrassed at that time. Back then, fathers were not in the homes, not mothers. So I always felt like I was an Oprah Winfrey story. And I was embarrassed and shamed to go around with girls that had their mothers and relationships. And I just felt so, you know, I'm still trying to be transformed from those feelings, you know, but I know that God has allowed me to become a mother before. And for many years, I've had women of all ages come to me and sit up to me. And I'm like, how is they coming to me about that stuff? And I'm going through the same stuff. And God said, because you're not your story. You are called to be who I called you to be, whether you have come to that place or not. And the oil that they're pulling up to the oil that he put in you. They're not pulling up to the story and the effects that you may be still dealing with and tearing away from. So it's important for us to be connected and stay connected daily of who he's called you to be, because it's so easy for us to feel the things that are happening in our life and the offenses that come against us. But that's the enemy's job, to bring the offenses that come against us and our identity so that we believe of what is happening to us. And then we take root to those things and thinking that that's who we are. We are not our story. Our story is our oil for the world to be able to be free. It's the testimonies. That's it. It is what God uses to build us and to keep us on our knees and asking him for what must I do. This has been the most out of the box experience that I have experienced my whole journey. But I know it is my strength. If I did not go through it, I would not be sitting here in front of y'all. I would not be sitting here. We had to go down to Arizona, me and my sister, not knowing where my mother physically stayed. They couldn't find her car. And we like, God, what is we gonna do? We don't even know. God touched this white police officer as our angel to guide us and help us before we even got down there. When we got to the airport and we were going to the airplane, me and my sister prayed. We said, God is going before us and God has already fixed this thing. We just walking out what is already need to be done and established in the natural, but he's already done it. And so before we even got to the airline that we was getting on, a white, what is this? Caucasian, I'm sorry, y'all. Flight attendant. We didn't know him. He wasn't even getting on our airplane. He charges, walking real fast towards us. And we trying to get out his way. And he said, no, I'm coming up to y'all. God said, wherever you're going, he's already done it. During the grief, during we still being in a foggy mind of, they said she died and we can't see her. Is it her? Is it, what is happening? We don't even know what's happening. When we got down there, before we even walked in our hotel room, the police officer was calling us and saying, I'm on my way to pick y'all up, to come and take y'all. I'm getting off work and I'm coming in my regular car to get you and take you where your mother's car is. I've already gotten all of her stuff because they had to take her clothes and put it in one place. And they had to take her body and put it in another place. Her car was in an impound. So he took us to do all this, not knowing. God makes a way. Do you hear me? In the midst of your struggle, stuff you don't know, he makes a way. But guess what? It's all coming together for my purpose. It's all coming together. And so I heard the young lady at the beginning saying, keep your focus or something on your purpose. And sometimes your purpose, like Queen says, is gonna have rocks. Mine had a volcano, had a equator. I done had everything. I done fell down in the hole and had to take years to pull myself out the hole to be able to get back on my journey and my purpose. But know that God is giving you the grace.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the capacity of the strength you behold until it's up against something. And I told this testimony at a woman's circle we had in our church after this happened, and I got back and we did my mother's memorial because we had to cremate her. And I told them all the years me and my sister sat and talked about it. All those years we prayed, we labored, we was in our word, these prayer meetings, these shut-ins, these fasting was building up spiritual muscles and tolerance in us that when it came, we was moving through it like we wasn't feeling no kind of nothing. I said, we ain't grieving, we ain't breaking down. What's happening? Is this God's grace? Is this what it feels like? So it may not feel like it's working. Every day you laboring, every day you praying, every day you trusting, every day you standing on his word. It may not feel like it, but when it's up against something, you see you're stronger than you actually thought you were. Mm-hmm. Because his oil steps in, his strength steps in. He takes over. Your mind is aligned with what he is telling you to do. I could not think and could not focus on natural answers. It was nothing natural about that situation, and it's still not. I have to keep my mind on what his purpose is for it. And that's all I said. What is your purpose for this? And what do you want me to do with it? because I can't, you can't make sense of it, you know, and you'll just, your mind will just go on 90 trying to figure it out. And I could have did this, and why wasn't I there? And God's plan is God's plan.
Hey, Terry,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever physically meet your mom?
Yeah, my mom raised me from baby to 12 years old.
Okay,
And
after that, did you come back? Did you ever physically come back together to see her?
we came back together quite a bit. We came back together when I was pregnant with my first daughter at 22. She left again. We came back together. I probably was in my 30s. And when she left Israel permanently, she moved back in the United States. She was staying in Texas. And we talked, and she ended up at a period of time living with me for a while. So me and my sister had her for, I want to say 2 years before she transitioned. And I believe before that time, my grandmother had got sick, and she had to go leave to take care of my grandmother. And then she tapped out again up here, where she wasn't really communicating with none of us because she was going through her childhood, figuring out what she missed with her mom, and she just wasn't balanced back in. But then I want to say she died in June. I saw my mom, I think in March of the year, because I was still in school, and she was able to see my sister and me, and she knew about the story. Our story that I did in school was about my mom and me and my sister, and she saw the movie of my sister playing her and everything. So we were laughing, talking about that. So God restored our relationship, and we even shared our story on I think it was a podcast or a radio show called Extraordinary God, and it was a show that talked about how something tragic happening, God brought it together and restored it. And so we talked about our relationship, and it helped a lot of mother-daughter relationships. Yeah.
I have another film that we can share.
So how about you share with me, Miss Terry, what's been going on with you?
Well, I just feel like I'm at a dead, dry place. It's all coming from what happened to me when I was a child. My mom, she left me at a young age. And that happening to me, it was hard. It's almost like I held my breath waiting on her to come back. But she never did. And you know, emotionally, I'm all over the place. I can't receive, I can't focus. And because that happened, I keep reflecting over and over again. And I just want it to stop. I just want it all to stop.
It's called a cycle. A cycle is a series of events and emotions that repeat itself regularly in the same pattern over and over again. And you have been in a cycle of damaged emotions. And this cycle has affected you in many areas of your life, starting with your development and the lack of. This cycling has affected you knowing and understanding your true value as a young woman. This cycle has affected relationships, you knowing how to give or to receive. This cycling has ultimately affected your whole being, body, mind, and spirit. And you've been in this place for years. That's why you seem so heavy, you feel so heavy. You've been here for a long time. And I'm sorry for that. Yet I'm happy to say this, that cycle, that bondage, it can begin to end today if you are willing to do the work. And I am absolutely committed to walking this out with you, giving you the tools that you'll need on this new journey of healing. You deserve it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
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 That was my story. I did, and I had 3 people playing me at younger ages, and I played myself. That was just a scene from part of the story. It should be another trailer in there as well with cycles. I also did my father's story. His trailer is a little shorter. His story was that he was a boy abandoned by his mother as a baby, and his auntie adopted him and raised him. And he grew up to be this, with this interest of music, and he learned how to play music by ear. All of his mentors were mentors of Motown, and they trained him to be this famous guitarist while raising 2 daughters where their mother abandoned them. So my father's journey is just amazing. And so his film got picked up in Detroit Black Film Festival and was showcased last year with Detroit Black Film Festival 2 days after my mother's memorial.
Is it right here?
Yeah, that's it. The very day we got the call that our film was accepted in Detroit Film Festival was the night my mother, we did her memorial. I was like, wow, God. I didn't know how to be in that space of happiness and grief at the same time. I didn't understand that. So I said, yeah, you doing something.
I want mommy too, but we can't live with her right now. Perry, I want you to know that whatever happens, we will always be together. Always remember that. I will. Just stay focused and keep listening to the sound.
I'm going to play the second song of this set. Chill and listen to the sound.
So that's a smaller trailer. A lot of people recognized it down at film. They were like, is this Perry Hughes place down at Floods and Bar? Yeah, this is
Bakers.
Yeah. So yeah, they really trying to help me push it because they do want to hear more about his story and maybe turn it into a feature film.
Let me see, what is this one?
Now this is a trailer, it's a silent movie, it's a non-dialogue movie. This story was a girl that was in my summer camp. She was about 15 years old. This was a song, a movie dedicated to her mother. Her mother died of cancer, and she was the only daughter that she had. She had 3 sons, and they were living in the home with their mom. They had to end up moving in with their grandmother, and she was in her 40s when she died. And her daughter's name was India, and I have a daughter named India. And I had promised her mother on her dying bed that I would be there for her daughter. And she was like, "You got 2 Indias now." And it was my way of dedicating that her story to the film. So that's what that one was about.
But Terry, who does your writing? Like, do you like the story? Well, any of who writes them for you?
I write them.
Okay.
I write and direct them. Yeah.
So they tell you their story, and then you put it in that's
screenwriting.
Yeah, that's screenwriting. That is because you have to. I remember when I wrote this movie, a play, Hold My Mule, a song from Shirley Caesar, and I put it into a play form. And when I had to write the dialogue, I have to actually go and be that, in your head. You have to, what would she say back and all that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
If you're natural to it, then it's not,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's something. I have I think I've been doing it for a while. I think I was doing it even when I was storytelling, when I was dancing. I never knew he was giving me that ability before I even went to school. And then when I went to school, I'm thinking that it was going to be like playwriting. Screenwriting is so very different because you have to format your script scene per scene. So if it's interior living room, and you have to, it's a certain way you have to format it different by the scenes and not just how you do the playwriting, and then as a director, you have to learn how you want it to be seen on screen. So you have to build a camera shot list. Okay, we want a close-up shot of this on this scene during this line when she's in this emotion, to get the reaction. So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot more, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Mama Evelyn?
Yeah, okay. I just had a question, Terry, about you were saying it was a Bible that you say your mother was in?
Yeah, African Heritage
Bible. Okay, because I see there's several different ones. Are they all the same, actually?
I think they are. It should be Black African Heritage. The Black African Heritage should be the one with the blue front, like a blue cover, and you should see like pictures on the bottom of it. It's a hard copy and a soft copy. Actually, you can Google it and say Black African Heritage Bible.
Is
and
that
if you,
I was trying to find it.
Yeah, if you Google it, Queen,
okay,
Google it and see if you can if you Google Black African Heritage Bible and look at the images, it'll show you the images, the pictures in it, and you'll see the Black Mary. And she's holding a baby, yeah.
Okay.
Is the book written by Dr. John L. Johnson?
I'm not sure who it's written by. It's the regular Bible. It just has picture inserts where they had people pose as the characters in there. Like Joseph and Mary, and they are wearing biblical wear. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. It's on Amazon. You can go walk in a Bible store and get it. I have one too. I'm gonna try to put it in a shadow box.
Hold that up for me again, Mama Evelyn. Okay, that's the one with the African. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you complete, Evelyn?
Yes, I am.
Star?
I had to plug up my computer before it goes out. Miss Terry, you ever heard the term the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yes.
Okay, this is what I'm hearing. Your mother leaving had nothing to do with you, your sister, or your father. Because of what she went through as a child, she had to go. And had she not left, you would have lost her anyway, because she would not have been able to be who she was and taken care of you and your sister sufficiently. So know that it didn't have anything to do with you. She had to go in order to be sane herself. I just wanted to let you know that. And another thing is, this is something that God showed me. I was raped when I was 7, and God took me back to that time, and he showed me that he was standing right there. And so the question came up, well, why didn't you stop it? And he said, because I gave you my word. I said, well, what does that mean? And he said, before you came here, we had a conversation about what you wanted to accomplish when you came. So while you were being raped, your ministry was being formed. He said, that's why I cannot stop the bad things, because of the agreement that we made, that you came down here to do a certain thing. So just know that everything that we go through, like you said, you use your pain for good. So I just wanted to share those things with you. I'm complete.
Thank you. I receive that. It's God to hear you say your story, because I discovered my mother's story when she died from her sisters, that my mother was raped by her brother that was on drugs. And it makes sense now, her leaving. Like, it makes sense that she didn't understand family, and why she had a lot of triggers when it comes to us trying to, like, be concerned about her. She had triggers like, why y'all trying to be in my business? Like, why y'all? I'm like, Mom, we concerned about you. Like, but it makes sense because that happened. It is definitely a lot of things that I had to fight through mentally, trying to find the glass half full instead of half empty when it comes to her choices. In my counseling sessions, I come to realize that I had to give myself permission to feel. During all those incidences, because what I realized is a lot of my mother's choices for herself, they hurt me. Her choices hurt me. And that was my first time in my sessions saying it, because I needed to get to a space where I needed to care for me and not care for her, and continuing to give her grace for what she did, because I loved her and I honored her. It was okay for me to say, your decision you made for you that helped you hurt me. And it didn't mean that I didn't love her or didn't honor her. It was just my truth on what I was feeling. And I had to learn how to say that. I think that's where a a lot of family dynamics need to be peeled apart and talked about, because we honor and we stick together and defend each other when it comes to the offenses, but we can't voice, we sabotage ourselves and not allow ourselves to be okay in what our truth is. And we've got to get away from that, because we're hurting ourselves and we're not allowing ourselves to live in truth. We have to live in truth in order to even allow God to heal us and allow God to show us where we are. Just like you said, he allowed your circumstance to happen because it's a part of what your purpose is on the earth. We have to be mindful that our purpose is connected to some pain and some hard places and some unexplainable things. I think I read something that was talking about, you asked for, you know how people pray for, Lord, make me strong, make me, what's the word? Give me patience. In order for him to give you patience,
Oh,
he gotta
Lord.
bring some storm to you.
Yeah.
Because how he gonna test it?
Oh.
And we're not thinking about that. Okay, Lord, I want to make me be a blessing to somebody else. Okay, be a blessing to somebody else. The people that we're helping are broken people. So if I'm saying, Lord, use my life to be a blessing to somebody else, I got to go through a lot of mess in order for these broken people to be able to get some pieces of strength from me. Mm-hmm. So we're actually inviting it. We're actually running to the problems. We're actually running to open ourselves for the pain to come. And he's going to give us his strength for our purpose to be able to be lived out. And so we've got to be mindful about that. And that when it comes, it's a shadow. It's not going to be a destruction of our lives, our physical lives, when the pain comes. It's going to hurt. I'm sure it hurt it when Jesus got pierced. I'm sure that hurt it. I'm sure that hurt it when they put nails in his hand and in his feet. I'm sure that hurt it. I'm sure he felt the pain of it. But the ultimate goal of why he had to die was for us to live. And so it's the same thing. We're just duplicates of what he's done down here on earth. We've got to die in our flesh, and what we have to go through, these attributes and these fruits of the spirits are being birthed in us so that we would be able to be just like him and do greater things down here through our purpose. Mm-hmm. And so we just know that he is in the making of our situations.
Mm-hmm. Harry, did you were you able to say or be in counsel with your mom? Were y'all ever able to share and she share as well?
We went to I think we might have went with 1 or 2 counseling sessions. Mm-hmm. And it didn't get as far as her opening up to tell her part of it. I think they were just basically kind of cutting it down to see exactly what the whole situation was in a whole and how it affected us. Mm-hmm. And how they could explain to us from our mother's side of the story what her life was like at that time, so that we could all separate what was happening and then focus on actually the pain that we needed to kind of sort through. So we didn't really get to the healing part. I think God in time began to mold us together individually, and we were coming together with revelations of we had been healed, and how that love that was restored in me, my mother found a safe place to be able to open up another piece in her and talk to us about her time period that when we were younger. Mm-hmm. dealing with our father, and because they were never married, they were never married. And so we didn't really understand why we had two homes. So we was like, what happened? And well, he did try to ask me to marry him, but your dad didn't want to leave his parents' house because my dad had an abandoned situation and he was raised by his mother's sister. And so it was like, I'm not going to leave them. We got two houses. We got a family flat. We can stay above them. So it was a lot of things going on and a lot of triggers between them. And we was caught in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this might be a personal question. I don't even know if it's, but I'm going to ask. So in your coaching, in being coached, where are you? What is it that you feel is the next breakthrough that you would like to have? I think that's what I want to ask.
I think coming more in a place of acceptance that she is gone and not coming back. I'm not there. I don't know that I will be there. I don't know how I can be there because my posture is the same way. It still feels like my mama living in another state. I barely talk to her and I still have all her voice messages. So I want to hear her voice, I play it. So I haven't really come through the full cycle of grief. I don't believe. I do know all the stages because I've been in home care. I've been in healthcare for 30 years. So I have helped many families go through the stages of their loved one dying, caring for them. So I know what it is. But I think for me, the acceptance part, I think I definitely have healed from grieving. Me and my mother didn't have the connection like I wanted to, a consistent connection of our relationship. I think I finally grieved that the longest because that was the longest grief that I did have. It's such a small period right now that I have of her physical death.
Yeah.
And I think in time, God will allow me to settle in that piece of it, even if he has her come speak to me, because I've been known to have people that pass on come to speak to me and give me that peace. That may help it. I think that's where I'm at.
I have a question.
Thanks for sharing. Yes, Mama Hat.
So, Terry, I would like to ask, how is your relationship with your daughter, having to know your mother's journey, a little bit about your mother's journey and your journey? So how have you used what your experience has been to be in a relationship with your daughter or daughters? I know you said your oldest. I'm not sure if you have more than one.
I got two daughters. Yes, that's a great question. Actually, it has been a wonderful tool. My daughters were able to meet my mother and they knew my childhood story. And it actually has drawn my daughters closer to me. We always had a strong relationship, me and my daughters, because my way of raising my kids were to be transparent about what was going on in my life so that they could understand, because I knew one day they would be women. Like I was trying to get from my mom, I'm trying to get her woman story to help me as a woman. I was giving it to my kids. So I had the tools to give to them. And so we have a very close, intimate relationship. One of them is 27. She's a singer. She's professionally signed. And the youngest is 18. And we do mental checks. We do mental checks every day. What's going on? What's happening? How are you dealing with it? They'll tell me what they're dealing with, and then we'll talk about how they're dealing with it. So it definitely has been, that's the blessing.
Your oil.
It has been the oil, and it has been the blessing. And that part helps me know, that helps me be at peace with what I experienced with my mother, that my example with my mom and what I didn't have was the blackboard for my daughters to see why I want to be close to them and why they have to talk and why they need to see what it looks like when you don't talk. This is your grandmother. This is the effects of it. You know, so I love that part that God allowed that to be. Yeah.
I just want to also add that in birthing, in giving birth, I've heard women say that there's like a bit of psychosis or whatever that happens when you're giving birth, because during the pain, it's like, what am I doing? What have I done? You know, when the pain is hurting. And then once you had a baby, even though you feeling like you were feeling like 20 minutes ago, now you're like, oh my God, this was so beautiful. And so there's that part, there's that component. And also another component where we have this idea of how we think our mothers should be mothers, but we don't know about their life.
That's
of
right.
how they learn, because you don't learn. I don't know if anybody has other than what I'm getting ready to say. Please let me know. But you don't learn how to do it until it happens.
That's right.
No, and that's a lot of it's a lot of responsibility after when my daughter was delivered. When I delivered my daughter, whatever you call it, I don't know. When I pushed her out, my immediate response was like, I didn't want to, you know, I was still dealing with what happened. It blew my mind. You know, you're sitting here giving life to another being, and you need a pause when you get done. You're like, oh my God, you know, just basking in the joy and the emotional and your body, like you're not even, your body isn't yours when you give birth to a child. And even when you're pregnant, it's solely dedicated to this life that's growing inside. It'd be like, you know what, you gonna get it, you can get a cold, but I'm gonna protect this baby. And I'm like, wait a minute, you know, all of that stuff that happens all at that moment, and you just really have, whew, I don't know, ain't no words. But for all of that to happen all at that one time, and then what am I supposed to do now? You want me to touch this? I'm feeling all yucky and tripped out about my body, you know, leaving me for a couple seconds. You know what I'm saying? To give birth to this child, and that feeling of detachment, even though it's all you, but you know it's from a greater power. Whew. Man, I'm having a whole bunch of stuff happening. I feel like I'm in that moment right now. But right after, and you hold this life and you go, wow, this is a lot of responsibility. And just trip out on how maybe, like, I would remember how my mother was like, girl, you don't know how to be on time, blah, 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 blah. Have a baby. All of that'll snap out. But it's just so overwhelming. I'm listening to your story. My mother's mother did not raise her. And I got more of what's my mother's life as I got older, and ended up meeting people that were her family that she did not know after she passed away. And right now I'm dealing with my dad, and I remember telling myself that I wanted to forgive him. You know, I can't forgive him for his journey, but I want to forgive how I felt about his journey. And I thought I had watched that, but I was like, you're still mad at your dad, because I read my mother's divorce proceedings, and then I got angry, a new anger, because I didn't know all of what happened, because I had moved out of the house, and so I didn't know a lot of things that were going on. And to have to sit here and know all of this stuff and care for this man, and then I can't help him, he's in the hospital right now. But I just wrote, you know, I was so grateful that I was able to be there yesterday. I hate going to hospitals. I hate it. But I chucked it up and went yesterday, and I took my book that I write in every day, and I said, I want to forgive myself for being angry, because my mother didn't ask me to be mad at him for her. She wasn't mad at him, you know, and we take on so much more than we have to. And it's so much better to talk and understand. I've had a little bit of all of that going on. That's why one video I was like, I can't listen or watch anymore. I just need to breathe. But I'm so glad everything is just falling into place, and we are just growing and growing and growing because of all the people we keep gathering here on this page. I am so grateful and thankful. And these are tears of joy. And
I
even my
want
sister,
to add, I want to
whenever,
add something to you.
hold on 1 second. It's just really funny about this dog, Max, my sis, one of my sister's dogs. Whenever we cry, he is the tissue. He thinks he has to be the tissue. So he's licking my face. I'm surprised he's not in my lap now, but just all of these things that are just beautiful. And I just wanted to say thank you to the creator, first of all, for giving us this day. And Terry, for you and all the sisters in the room that, we're on this journey together. Thank you.
I want to encourage you. You said something that made my baby inside jump, my Elizabeth jump. You said we carry things that are not our responsibility. That is so huge, because that's really something. You really said something, because I just really recently came out of realizing that God was telling me I was defending my mom in a whole lot of ways, and I was carrying her cross. I was carrying her cross to her sisters when she left and went to Israel. Like, they were mad at her. And I was like, me and my sister was always defending her. Like, my mama gonna be back, and my mama this, and my mama, trying to keep them like still looking good. Like, my mom is, she good. Like, it's okay. Like, my mama is doing great things and blah, blah, blah. And it became our way. And even growing up and not having her as a female figure, with all the other women that came in our life, because I've had many mothers, many women that poured into us. But I had my mother's, I never let anybody sit in my mother's chair. In my mind, I said, all these women can pour into me, and I love them and I'm grateful, but I'm gonna have my mother's chair right here whenever she come back. And I don't think my mother ever knew that we reserved a space in our lives for her. She never really understood that, because she saw us become women that she wanted to become herself. And she had a lot of shame, and she said that. And we were like, Mom, don't beat yourself up, because what we've become and what you've become is who God wanted to be. But she didn't get that. But we do carry the weight of our parents thinking we're defending, and we're sabotaging and not really being mindful that we're hurting ourselves, because we're not even we're not taking accountability for what we need to be doing with us, because we're defending them. We can't hold nobody else's cross.
Right.
Everybody got to hold their own cross. We can
And
honor
you don't
them
know
and
what all
love
they
them.
dealing with either. You don't know what all they dealing with.
I didn't even know that she even went through half of that, and it's so much more she went through I didn't know. So I'm living her life, and that's why I said I was walking in her shoes, because I got on her shoes. I can't fit her shoes. I don't know, but I was like, I'm trying, like, I'm about to put these on and be in my own life in her shoes, and I missed my own. And that's what I need y'all to understand. Do not, you don't remember nothing else I say. Walk in your shoes God designed for your purpose in your life. Love and honor your people, your families connected to you, but you gotta walk and be present in your own life. And I think that's where I'm at, trying to forgive myself and give myself grace for the spaces I feel like I wasn't present in my own life. God told me, that is not your story. What happened to your mother? That was the effects of your mother's story that affected your life. Your story is that you survived it. Your father raised you. There's no story like a man raising his kids out here. And he was a successful musician, touring and traveling all over the world, and he parented me. That's my story. And so I just want you guys to give yourself the grace Love yourself enough to give yourself time to walk out these hard spaces and these dry places that God has to replenish, because it's a part of your journey. Be present, because the process is what you have to be grateful for when you get to the promised land. It's the process. So you can't close your eyes because this part hurts. You can't crawl up under the covers when this part is in my face and I don't know what to do. You can't. That's when we got to open our mouths and say, Lord, tell me what to do. Show me how to do this. How I'm supposed to feel this hurt. We got to give him the spaces for him to show up in so we can go through the process good. Good enough to get the tools. Good enough to let him get the glory when we arrive at the promised land and the purpose that he has for us. Good enough to be able to know when we get in front of the people that we're called to, that we have the tools all in our tool belt. And as we're there being used, we have the tools to say, I was where you was. Here's your tool. I was where you was. I walked in your shoes. We can't close our eyes in the process. So be encouraged in your journey and know that it's all coming together for his glory. It's all coming together. We having growing pains. That's all it is. We growing. All these hard places, we growing. God is stretching us. It hurt, God. Yep, because it's time for you to go to the next level. You've been here too long enough.
That's right.
Keep growing.
That's right.
Keep growing. That's all it is.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to say also, your filming, your work is wonderful. I just want to compliment your work. Wonderful, wonderful
You
job.
feel it. You feel it. After those first clips that you played, I was in here like, oh, convulsing. I was like, okay, it's intense. Reverend Omani got a hand.
I just want to say, I just want to share this quote because they talked about grace a lot today. Spirit is in a state of grace forever. Our reality is only spirit. Therefore, we are in a state of grace forever. That's it.
As they say, and my grace is sufficient. That's fine.
Period.
Period. I love
Can I share something? I'm really enjoying this conversation. And I want to say, piggybacking on what Miss Terry said and Mama Het, how important it is for us to let stuff go and forgive ourselves. I don't know if any of you has seen the movie, Why Did I Get Married? Why Did I Get Married Too? Okay, we know that the character that Janet Jackson played, she was kind of a therapist. And she was helping a lot of people, except she did not help herself. So when you see the part in Why Did I Get Married Too, where she's just going off, she's breaking things all in her house because she could not let go and forgive herself for what happened to her child. And that is what happens when we don't let stuff go and we don't forgive ourselves. And like Miss Terry said, to walk in your own shoes, your own life. She couldn't let it go. So forgiveness is very important. Very important. And it does help when God has given us clarity as to why we are the way that we are. And doing the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
May I piggyback off on all of this? I feel like this is like this healing train that's going. I want to piggyback off and starting out with what Terry said, where she encouraged people to go into counseling if you need counseling. When I lost my father, I have a friend who is now gone, but she called me and she said, you're either going to go and talk to somebody, or I'm driving from Canton and I'm dragging you there, kicking and screaming, because you're not going to go. And I'm not talking to Bridget. I'm talking to somebody else who literally, she said, you are like the walking dead right now. And going to that first counselor, it actually took 2 people to get me on the other side of this. But the first one, what was the hardest part to get past is our parents were the silent generation. And we were raised with that. You don't talk about what goes on in the house, which also translates to you don't talk about your parents. So it took quite a bit of talking to this woman for her to pull out of me things that I was refusing to talk about, because I was still stuck in that. You don't talk about your parents, you don't talk about what goes on in the house. And I actually got mad at her a couple of times because she told me things about my parents that I was like, stop talking about my parents. And she said, no, Bridget, you're dealing with the silent generation. There were things going on in your family that were kept from you and your sister, but it was all going on. And it was because of that generation. But had those things not been, had I not sat down and talked to her, and had this really great friend not forced me to go, the healing wouldn't have taken place. And that healing took quite a bit, and that healing is still somewhat going on because it doesn't end. But in order for the healing to happen, I had to go and unload, because it's just like Terry said, I was carrying what we were going through by me being the oldest daughter. My sister had jumped on, and I was carrying for everybody. And she finally told me, she said, it's like a wagon, Bridget. She said, you are dragging a wagon and everybody's gotten in your wagon. She said, and you're carrying your parents' stuff, you're carrying your sister's stuff, you're carrying everybody's stuff, and you're about to fall down yourself. Mm-hmm. And she said, to be honest with you, she said, I don't know why you're not in the hospital right now, because curled up in a corner, because you're carrying more stuff than you can really handle. And I told her it's only by the grace of God that I'm on my feet.
We only got 2 hands.
I was in his hands for real. So I would encourage anyone that's dealing with old stuff, in order to move forward, when God puts you in certain positions, in order for you to move forward, you have to unload. Because if you don't unload, you can't move into what he has for you, because now you're stuck in other people's stuff.
How do you get over that hump of, because a lot of us say, I'm going to a stranger. They don't even know your people. Why are we so tripped out about that? You'll tell somebody that'll tell everybody, and here you have a person that'll be confident with you, and you don't trust them.
Because in the Black community, we were kind of told and untold. It was kind of spoken and unspoken. You don't talk about your business to anybody. And it was also spoken and unspoken that Black people don't go to therapists. Right. If you was going to a therapist, there was something really wrong with you. So and the friend of mine, and here's the interesting thing, and that's why it really struck me, Terry, when you said that it was the Caucasian gentleman who came to you. It was it was my girlfriend, my white girlfriend, who called me and said, I've already called this woman, you're going to her. I'm driving from Kent. If you don't go, I'm coming to get you and I'm dragging you out of your house. And she was shorter than me. And she said, I will drag you out by your braids. She said, they'll just see a black woman and a white woman in the street fighting. She said, because you're going. But if it was not for her, I would not have cleared out as much as needed to be cleared. And it comes from, we've been taught generationally. You don't go talk about your family business. You don't talk about your problems. You don't talk about your issues. So that's the reason why when you say, why is it so hard for us to go and talk to someone? It's because consciously, subconsciously, and generationally, we've been taught you don't do that. But that's the reason why we are carrying so much pain. Because you're carrying everybody else's stuff in your wagon. And while you're dragging your wagon, you're falling down and you don't understand why you're falling down, because your wagon is too heavy. And now it's like the big wheel, when you used to ride your big wheel and two wheels will fall off, but you still trying to ride your big wheel. That's now you reach a point that your wheels start falling off, but you're still trying to drag that wagon. You got to unload because it's other people's stuff.
This has been such a full conversation and a touching conversation and spiritual and sensitive, yet glorious, revealing, freeing conversation as well. And I know that my guest has some other things that she needs to do, so we are going to cut it off so she can run. Thank you so much, Terry, for coming and sharing your life. I didn't know what, I tell you, these people that have been coming on, it's like blowing our mind, all the information, all the good information, all the goodness and the being of the person coming and really sharing with us in a space that is safe to share, is loving space. And so I just want to thank you so much, Terry, for coming and sharing with us. And your auditions, are you auditioning now?
Yeah, we're auditioning now. They are, you can go to the website and you'll be able to see how you can audition to be a part of the process in the movies as well. Also, I am going to be doing a workshop. Once we get started, we're going to do a workshop once a month, a wellness, mental health workshop. And we're going to be having some of these talks in it. And I'll make sure that you have one so that you can give it to all the young ladies here. And they can come and be a part of it. We're going to try to see if we can have it Zoom as well if people can't come in person, but we are going to do it in person, and we're going to have some therapists there that'll be able to help with some conversations as well. So one of them will be called Good Grief. So I think that's going to be the one a lot of people going to want to come to. How to deal with grief, not just physical grief, but other, other things, and allowing us to be able to have those conversations, to give us permission to talk. Give yourself permission to talk. Give yourself permission to free yourself. Because at this point, we're just, it's a form of oppression of ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves. And God needs us to let this stuff go so that he can use us in our purpose.
I say, didn't somebody share that there was another Black group of grief?
Yes, where do Black women go to grieve? I sent some of you invites to that page today. Where do Black women, and it's specifically for women of color, specifically.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I would love to be a part of that.
I'll send you the info.
Okay.
All right, any other comments? We're going to be on about our day, and I get to meet Terry next week. We were going to meet today at 11, but we switched it. And I get to get a hug from her and all that kind of goodness.
I'm full. This was the good breakfast right here today. I'm full.
All right, give yourself a big hug. And hug the world, because you know they need it. You know they need it. And sprinkle goodness and love and peace and harmony and joy and purpose and passion all over everybody. Have a good day. Make it fun.
All right, love y'all. Thank you so
On to the
much.
weekend.
Love you.
See
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.